is rare to have this many enormous stories breaking at one time. We are at that time. We'll take you to the fallout from Secretary of State Tillerson's blockbuster announcement moments ago. But first, the United States Senate, the deliberative body, legislatively speaking, the adults in the room. When the country veers too far left or slides too far right, in the heat of the moment, the Senate would cool things off, find something closer to the middle so that the nation doesn't slide toward the extreme. The Senate, the guardrails of democracy. If the legislative bus starts careening over the ledge on the left or the ravine on the right, the guardrails bounce the bus back to the middle. It served our republic well for a couple of centuries. Only a sort of legislative nuclear explosion could change that. For instance, suspend the rules to change the tradition so that the Senate is more like the House and only needs 51 votes instead of 60 to get really big things done. It's always been an option, at least since 1957, after a threat back in 1917, and today the Senate exercised that nuclear option. Now, as of last hour, we're in a whole new legislative world. It marks a historic change to Senate norms that could affect our democracy and our republic beyond any of our lifetimes. The move lets Republicans, in this case, advance President Trump's Supreme Court nominee, Neil Gorsuch, with a simple majority of 51 votes instead of 60. It sets a precedent that analysts say will allow any party that controls the Senate to approve Supreme Court nominees without bipartisan support. Lawmakers from both parties are blaming each other, and the truth be told, they're all to blame. Republicans say they had to use the nuclear option because Democrats today filibustered Judge Gorsuch's nomination. His final confirmation vote is now set for tomorrow. Democrats are blaming GOP leaders because they never held hearings for President Obama's Supreme Court nominee, Merrick Garland. The Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, today said Democrats over the years have repeatedly raised the stakes in confirmation battles.
The opposition to this particular nominee is more about the man that nominated him and the party he represents than the nominee himself. It's part of a much larger story, another extreme escalation in the left's never-ending drive to politicize the courts and the confirmation process.
The Republicans say the former Democratic Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid started all of this back in 2013 when he allowed the same nuclear option, but for President Obama's nominees, for everyone except those to the Supreme Court. Then Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell called it a Democratic power grab and said it was a sad day in the history of the Senate. That was 2013. The current Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer, today said Democrats at the time had to use the nuclear option because Republicans were using the filibuster to stonewall nominees.
The truth is, over the long history of partisan combat over judicial nominations, there's blame on both sides. We believe that the blame should not be shared equally between Republicans and Democrats. We believe the Republican Party has been far more aggressive in the escalation of tactics and in the selection of extreme judicial candidates, while Democrats have tended to select judges closer to the middle.
Of course he does. He's the Democratic leader. The Republicans say the same thing about the Democrats. Many Democrats even admitted long before today that they shouldn't have done what they did back in 2013 because it's hurt the deliberative body. But they did. So now no more supermajority necessary in the Senate for judges, even now Supreme Court justices. If this is the middle of dominoes falling, first judges in 2013, now Supreme Court justices in 2017, the question is, will there come a time that the Senate might suspend the rules to change the rules for all legislation? That's possible.